You must have heard about Jeffrey Dahmer if you are an active social media user or a Netflix freak. Recently, Netflix released a series on the life of this cruel American serial killer that has upset many viewers. The debate about his early life is still going on among netizens, whether he had an abused childhood or not. Whatever, today's video will clear it all for you because we will be sharing insights into Jeffrey Dahmer's life, criminal history, and death. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Who is Jeffrey Dahmer? Jeffrey Dahmer is an American serial killer and a sex offender. He had an animal fascination and had a long history of murdering people brutally by cannibalism and other nerve-wracking methods. He was homosexual and all his victims were males. In the span of just 13 years, he murdered and dismembered 17 males. A unique thing about them was that they were all American Africans. All the bodies and organs in his residence were stored in refrigerators and jars. Child molestation was also his crime area, but all that is said to justify his filthy activities is that he was a psychological patient. History remembers him with the names the Milwaukee Cannibal and the Milwaukee Monster. How did he get the courage to kill his fellow humans, and how did he have the guts to be a cannibal? Watch the video till the end to learn all about him. Early childhood. Jeffrey was born on May 21, 1960, to a man named Lionel Dahmer and his wife, Joyce Annette, in Wisconsin. His mother was a teletype machine instructor, and his father was a chemistry student at Marquette University. Both of them did not have a happy marriage and kept fighting and abusing all the time. Their behavior affected Jeffrey's life badly, and he switched to a life different from his fellows. Jeffrey's schooling started at Revere High School, where he proved himself an extraordinary student, tennis player, and an avid member of the school's official music band. He suffered from hernias in childhood and got operated on. He was first born into an unhappy family, and the addition of siblings had a bad impact on him. He became timid, shy, and an introverted boy not interested in making friends. Jeffrey was attracted to animals and loved catching ants and butterflies that he stored in jars. He was so fascinated by anatomy that he stored the carcasses of animals and then dismembered them to know more and more. He was attracted to the sounds of bones. His father was a chemist, so Jeffrey saw him bleaching and preserving animal bones, which led him to become more interested in it. But who knew he was going to apply this to humans as well? Sigh. Criminal life. Before his graduation, Jeffrey became badly addicted to alcohol and gave up his studies. In 1978, he committed the first murder when he found a hitchhiker, Stephen Hicks, took him home, made him overdunk, and kicked him by hitting the head with a barbell. Then he took the dead body to his so-called lab and dismembered it to store in plastic bags. Nobody knows what happened to the parts after that. After observing his suspicious activities, his father ordered him to join Army in 1978. He did that, but due to heavy alcoholism, he was discharged from the Army in 1981. He was too unruly to be called a civilized man. His behavior got him in trouble many times, and he ended up in prison. His father sent him to his grandmother to live there, but she could not bear up with his odd habits and threw her out of the house in September 1988. At that time, his parents were officially divorced. Jeffrey's second victim, Stephen Tooney, was murdered by his hands in the hotel room adjacent to a bar. He brought him to his grandmother's basement in a suitcase and sexually abused the corpse, and then dismembered the body and threw it in an unknown place. After 2 months of this incident, Jeffrey lured a 14-year-old male prostitute, James Dockstader, and brought him to his residence. After a drug overdose, he sexually abused James and then murdered him on the spot. Jeffrey was so immoral that he wrapped the corpses, used the body for intercourse, took their photographs, recorded the dismemberment process, preserved the skulls and genitals for displays, and retained parts for consumption. He got Hob at Ambrosia Chocolate Factory and drugged a 13-year-old boy, who was probably his third victim. He wrapped the boy, but luckily he survived. Jeffrey was sent to jail for 5 years with probation. Despite regular appointments, he committed 4 murders in a year and then 8 more in the next year, 1991. His work strategy was strange. When he moved to his apartment in Milwaukee, he started killing a person per week. He turned the victims into zombies to act as his partners for getting sexual pleasure. All of them were made, so his act of homosexuality was at its peak. What do you think about how he turned the corpses into zombies? Let me reveal that to you. He drilled holes into the skull and injected hydrochloric acid or water into their brains. They died with so much pain that a human could get goosebumps by just imagining. However, his acts were revealed to the world when one of his neighbors complained to the police about the screams, especially the awful smell from his house. His next victim after that was Tracy Edwards. Jeffrey lured him into taking him home to get cash and forced him to get into the bedroom, scaring him with the butcher knife. However, Edward was a strong man. He escaped the hold and ran away to the police. Finally, the police officers came to his apartment and saw pictures of dead bodies, dismembered limbs, and preserved body parts. They took him to the police station. Investigation showed that his refrigerator has many heads and a closet made with skulls and candles. Jeffrey was taken into custody and confessed everything he did to the police. With 15 murder charges, his trial was done on 30th January 1992, but he got relaxation due to his disturbing and uncontrollable impulses. 2 weeks later, he was punished for 957 years in prison, equal to 15 murdered lives. In May 1992, he confessed to another victim, Stephen Hicks, and received an additional life sentence: death. During his time in prison, Jeffrey tried to repent his sins and ask for forgiveness from Jesus. He started reading the Bible and declared that he was reborn Christian, ready for Judgment Day. However, his life in prison was not a peaceful one. He was attacked by the inmates twice. Once his neck was sliced, that left 2 superficial wounds on him. Later, he was hit in the head with a metal bar during showering. He was found alive but died due to severe head trauma on 28 November 1994. It looks like his own wish came true, as once he said, "If I was killed in prison, that would be a blessing right now." Jeffrey was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and a psychotic disorder, but then the court proved he's totally sane. He was secluded in prison, but he enjoyed that and was also allowed to be baptized by a local preacher. However, later he started enjoying the company of Jesse Anderson in prison. His murderer, Christopher Scarver, reports that he had provocative behavior with other inmates, so he was murdered for this. Personal life. Jeffrey's personal life was hell. That's why he made others' people's life look this way too. He has a homosexual mind and always hid eye from his parents. His family relations were not so good, so he grew up watching family fights, trauma, and his mother crying after his father's behavior. His parents were unable to give him the attention he wanted. Moreover, due to his siblings, he felt ignored, and his mind went into a state of cruelty, so he started sexually assaulting people and then killing them. You can have a vague idea about his personality from his saying, "I don't even know if I have the capacity for normal emotions or not because I haven't cried for a long time." You just stifle them for so long that maybe you lose them, partially at least. I don't know. This is all for today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay notified whenever we post a video. Share the video with your friend if you liked it. Stay tuned.